Well, now we are joined by Anthony Salvanto, the CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys in New York City. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Hey, Jack. Great to talk to you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And so we want to know what trends are you going to be watching for tonight as we wait for our results to come in?
Yeah, the first thing you want to look at is as votes come in, you want to find out if they're votes that were cast early, which we believe a majority of votes will be, or if they're votes that were cast today, because sometimes we see differences. Maybe people have made a late decision. Maybe it breaks a certain way. And those are the two big differences you want to look at as things come in. I think right now our estimates is that you're going to see about 1 million votes overall cast on the Democratic side, maybe 1.8 on the Republican side. But is that going to be 60, 65, 70% early? I think that's what you might expect. We'll see how many people actually showed up today. That's the first key. And the other one is, I think it's still too soon to say anything about the statewide races. I think you're about an hour away from that if past is prologue in the way Texas will report its votes. So that's the landscape going forward, Jack.
And so let me ask you, what national trends are you going to be looking for this evening coming out of Texas?
Yeah, one of the big things is what is the influence of former President Trump on the Republican side? We know, and you've discussed, that he's made a lot of high-profile endorsements. And we find nationally that a majority of Republicans say that they'd like the party to remain loyal. They'd like candidates in the party to remain loyal to him. So that's going to be a big test. It's not all Republicans, but it is a majority. And that number, if it's 58% nationally who want that loyalty, that number actually goes up among primary voters. So what you're looking at tonight in that relatively smaller number who are going to turn out are the most ideological voters out there, the most conservative voters on the Republican side. So these primaries really set up a test, not just for the former president's influence, but also for the direction of the party, Jack.
Let me just ask you on that, because we've seen here in Texas, former President Trump has endorsed not only people at the top of the ticket, Governor Abbott, the lieutenant governor, the Texas attorney general, but all the way down to the county judge's race here in Tarrant County surrounding Fort Worth. Does that surprise you?
It really is one of the new dynamics in politics that we're going to be watching in Texas and across the country this year. You've got a lot more national figures, including the former president, making endorsements in these down-ballot races where we didn't usually used to see all of that. And the other reason that's important is when we get to, let's say, the congressional district level, another thing we're watching is, in terms of the direction to the party, you've got 38 districts down there. Maybe one or two of them are going to be really competitive come November. So what you're talking about is picking candidates who are probably, on either side, Dem and Rep, likely to win in their districts, but are on the Democratic side, they're going to be more progressive candidates or more moderates. On the Republican side, are they going to be candidates who showed loyalty to the former president, who were more conservative, or a little bit closer to the center? Those are the key questions, because that's going to determine who eventually wins then in November in a lot of those districts that are already very heavily gerrymandered. And so the Republicans will hang on and the Democrats will hang on in each of them. So that's why it's about the direction of the party and why these primaries are so important, Jack.
Anthony Salvanto, Director of Elections and Surveys at CBS News. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight this evening.
Thank you.